TC, Spiritual Shepherd. Welcome back to the Spiritual Shepherd YouTube channel. Today, we're getting into the power of suggestion. This is going to only be like one part. There's going to be so many parts about the power of suggestion. I encourage you guys to stay. I've done a lot of study on just this type of work. Emilian Koo, as well as Neville Goddard. You've heard of Abraham Hicks. You've heard of Bashar. You've heard of a multitude of different types of people who have cultivated the law of assumption, like Bob Proctor, and a multitude of others. Okay, guys, this is a collection of their work, obviously with my own unique input and my own unique download that is interconnected with this type of work. But ultimately, the power of suggestion. This is also going to be getting into the Jedi mind trick. Okay, so the Jedi mind trick is the power of suggestion. It is the power of affirmation. Affirmations are suggestions. Affirmations are suggestions. And suggestive material is a more, maybe not a more abundant way of doing affirmations, but it is another version, a more unique version of doing affirmations is suggestions, is the power of suggestion. Okay, first and foremost, there's a unique way of subconsciously programming and reprogramming the brain. You have been programmed a specific way. We're not going to get into that. We're going to stay just on power of suggestion today, but you have been programmed throughout your life. And the key of reprogramming is tapping back into when you were a child. I'm not talking necessarily shadow work, even though that is included in it, or in childhood trauma and healing, the childhood or the inner child and stuff, where you can cultivate some of that shadow work in there. But there is the main correlation with theta states. Okay, this is the main point. Theta states. You were in theta from 0 to 7, and then you eventually started to move more into alpha and beta, which is the alphabet, alpha, beta, okay, ABCs. Now, let's mention this. The programming and the reprogramming is based in theta states, which is why there are people who have polyphasic sleeping. We have polyphasic sleeping where they'll take multiple naps throughout the day because they'll be into theta more frequently and more often. More frequently, more sequentially, they'll be in theta states, which is imagination. It's imagination. It's also your brain and your subconscious mind is more malleable to be able to receive more inputs that you would input into your brain waves. And so when you input specific types of frequencies, so on different hertz frequencies, on different operative if you have certain suggestive words, if you claim things, if you suggest certain things as well, always put this in positive, continuous present tense. Yes, I said that right. Positive, continuous present tense, as if it is happening or as if it is already done. Now, I know I'm screaming, but this is also a very passionate thing for me. This is a very, very passionate video because there's a multitude of things that you can cultivate in this type of thing. Imagination. So Neville Goddard technique, where you are assuming and you are imagining as if you already have it. You are focusing. This is kind of more my own unique input where I know there's studies on it, but focusing on specific realities is the important aspect of the reality fulfilling itself. If you're focused on negative, but you're surprised why you're not getting positive, it's because you're focused on negative. But if you're focused on positive and positive shows up, you can expect and assume that it's because you're focusing on it. This also does tap into, the Qui-Gon Jinn type of vibe, the Liam Neeson type of vibe, which is focus determines your reality. The more that you focus on specific things, the more that reality is going to want to experience itself through you. Okay, so now let's kind of get into giving you more on that theta vibration mindset. This correlation is really tapping in with suggestion and affirmation while going to sleep. So the first 30 minutes the 30 minutes that you're falling asleep, okay, the first 30 minutes before you fall asleep, and that would even include going into sleep, okay, then you're asleep, okay, and then the first 30 minutes arising out of sleep. Okay, first and foremost, it's by setting proper, you have to have a proper schedule. So I know that I'll wake up at 3:30 every morning because I wake up at 3:30 every morning. And then that correlation will help me get up at 3:30 every morning. And so then I know when my affirmations can start, as well as if I go to bed at 11:30 at night and I get one sleep cycle and then I meditate and I have another nap or whatever, that's more than enough sleep for me per day. And then I also I have polyphasic sleeping that way as well, where I'm more into theta states. And then during any of those times, I'm listening to affirmations or suggestions. There is also a terminology, which is called state akin to sleep. It's also known as SATS. And state akin to sleep means that as you are falling asleep, you are living in the end process as if it is already done. So what would it feel like to be in the end and then you technically don't harm anybody or anything, which is a very famous quote by Neville Goddard, where he really says that if you are in the end vibration, if you're in the end frequency where you're already done, how would you feel now that it's already done? You don't have to worry about the whole why and the how and all these other different things that we do as our ego. We have this egoic aspect to our brains that we're like, or to our minds where we're like, I want to control the way that the outcome happens, where you have to let go of the outcome. You have to have no assumption on the outcome. You have to have no expectation on the outcome. You have to have no assumption on the outcome, but you do assume that you're already in the highest vibrational, best case scenario frequency to receive what is going to be the best version for you and the best reception for you to be able to receive it. One main point as well with the power of assumption and the power of suggestion is actually hypnosis, where you are actually reprogramming and reinstituting a new program into the subconscious mind, a new belief system, a new permission slip. And these are all intercorrelated, that you first have to give yourself authority and the choice and the allowance, I guess you could say, for your own self. And imagine giving it to your inner child that didn't receive any of those types of things, or didn't have the right expectation or assumption or the right allowance or the right belief system or permission slip to do certain things. And what hypnosis does specifically is, while you're in trance states, you're in a certain hypnotic brainwave rhythm for your ideomotor reflex to be able to receive those vibrational frequencies and then embed them skeletal muscularly, okay, neuromuscularly, neurocognitive abilities. So what are all these big words mean? This ultimately means that your brain waves are moving fast enough and slow enough at the right frequency wavelength to be able to change and reemerge and reprogram and transform and transmute into the frequency that you really feel is best for your life and best for your calling and best for what you choose to live in your life. And then it will actually embed into your muscle, into your idiosyncrasies, into your motor reflexes, and idiosyncrasies, motor reflexes. So how your musculature is operating, how you just operate subconsciously without thinking about it, how you operate unconsciously without thinking about it, where you are starting to have better thoughts just because. You are having better thoughts spontaneously. You are having better physicality spontaneously. You're having a better metabolism spontaneously. You have better health and wealth and belief systems and permission slips spontaneously, which is the ultimate aspect of coaching. And then you just have somebody who is accountable to try to initiate these things within a certain being or within a client. And that's it. That's all it is. It's not that difficult. It's really just starting to reprogram how you already believe about your reality rather than listening to how you thought you were.